Hi there, it's me, Jordan Van Haslo. Welcome to Jordan Van Haslo and Friends live on Hot 702.5 FM Las Vegas. Let's get on with the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another week of Showtime with Jordan Van Haslo and Friends right here on Hot 702.5 FM Las Vegas. I'm so excited to introduce you to a new friend this week. He's a philanthropist and the founder and president of Doors of Change. His name is Jeffrey Sitcov, and he's done an amazing job of raising $5.9 million for homeless youth and securing support for members of the entertainment community. In addition to enlisting the charity celebrity spokespersons Lucy Arnaz and Anson Williams of Happy Days, he's also received support from music legends including Elton John, Billy Joel, the Rolling Stones, Bruce Springsteen, Carlos Santana, the late Tony Bennett, and Three Dog Night, as well as comedians such as Billy Crystal, Steve Martin, and the late Robin Williams. Like, can I tell you, more than anything, I want this guy's Rolodex. I'm not going to go on and on and on and on and name drop. I want to spend time getting to know Jeffrey and getting to learn more about his fantastic organization. So welcome, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Jordan, so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. So how did this organization form? Actually, let's even go back. Let's even go back. Have you always been a philanthropist? Did you come out of nonprofit and say, I wanted to start my own organization, or did you come from the for-profit world and this was something that happened and turned into something?
Sure, that's a great question, Jordan. I happen to be a physical therapist by profession. I had a practice for 18 years. I had a very successful practice with 17 employees, and I had a spinal cord injury 23 years ago, a freak accident, which stopped me from doing my physical therapy. After you're doing it for 18 years at a very high level, and all of a sudden I can't do it anymore. I went into deep depression and thinking, I can't do my profession. What am I going to do? I did a lot of soul searching, a lot of praying, and I kept coming back to helping youth. And so I spent a year researching nonprofits that empowered youth to make better choices, because to me, the choices they were making were the wrong choices. They were killing each other. You saw the Santee shooting, the Columbine shooting, all that stuff happened as I was thinking about what to do. And I went on outreach one night to see how homeless kids got taken off the streets. I didn't even know there were homeless kids in our community, but I went on one night to see how it would be. That night literally changed my life forever. I've been helping.
Did you just go out on your own, or were you partnered with like the police department, or how did that happen?
I went out with two outreach workers from the Storefront Shelter, which is the only homeless emergency shelter for kids 12 to 17 in San Diego. And they're experts at doing outreach. And I went without them just one time, just to check it out. And it completely blew my mind. And I said that night, I'm going to help homeless kids. I've been doing it for 22 and a half years now. And Doors of Change, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, we've helped over 2,800 homeless youth get off the streets, get into safe housing, and many of them have become self-sufficient as a result.
Oh, that's absolutely wonderful. So how did you go about, so like you said, okay, I want to do something. Let me start something. Like, what was the process of just getting it going?
Well, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, to tell you the truth. But I had a vision and I had a passion to help these kids, and that's all that it mattered. Because people can read you. If you're BSing them, they can see right through you. And so Billy Joel was the first big person that actually I contacted. He was touched by the passion. He loved the vision. And he said, Jeffrey, I'll sign a keyboard for you. And he was the first one that, started to help me. Within 3 months, he toured with Elton John and told Elton John what he did. And Elton John said, I want to be involved also. I'll sign a keyboard also. So having the two of them endorse Doors of Change within the first 6 months of starting this, just with the vision of helping these kids have a better life, that began a process where many, many people in the music industry started trusting us, because it's very hard to trust today, who's really legitimate. Are they right? Are they going to sell this stuff for themselves? But because of that, B.B. King got involved, the Rolling Stones got involved, Bruce Springsteen got involved, Carlos Santana, many, many, many people, because Elton John and Billy Joel said, this is a good thing, we're behind this. And that ripple effect has helped us tremendously over the last 22 years as being one of the cornerstones of how we've raised money to fund our program to have our staff being able to help these kids get off the streets.
Yeah. Did you have any connections to music, the music industry beforehand, or was it just like a lark? Like, oh, I love Billy Joel. Let me just reach out to Billy and see what might happen.
Well, what happened is that I love photography, and for many years I loved music, and I would always go to many concerts and sneak my camera into concerts and started winning awards on my photography of concerts. And so Billy Joel remembered me through that. But I mean, I'm a photographer by just my passion, and that got me to a point where I met Bill Silva, who's a big concert promoter. He was Jason Mraz's manager for 10 years. And he said to me, "Are these your pictures?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Would you be the house photographer at San Diego State for me?" I said, "Absolutely." So that was like my in into the music industry without even trying. He asked me to be the house photographer. And so for a year and a half, I started meeting a bunch of people. And that's how it started as far as me getting the ins in the music industry. But once you're in and they know that you're doing the right thing and they trust you, thank God that they trusted me. And that's how we've been able to raise now almost $875,000 alone in music memorabilia, which is a lot of money to fund our program for 22 years. That's just one of the ways we raise money. But we have to raise money to support our case managers, to pay them, pay our staff to go out in the streets to find kids, etc.
Yeah. Do you find so talk to me of just how the organization is set up and what are the programs you run? You're talking about the case managers, you have outreach folks. Talk to us about how it's just structured.
Sure. Well, outreach is the cornerstone for getting kids off the streets. You have to go and find youth. And you do that two people at a time. You never go by yourself when you're in outreach. You always go with another outreach worker. And so we comb the streets looking for homeless kids. When we find them, we, try and give them supplies that they're going to need, try and build the trust quickly. However, things have changed tremendously since COVID, because for the first 18 years, we had an award-winning music and art program called Taking Music and Art to the Streets, which we saw over 8,100 kids in that program over 18 years of teaching them how to do music. 7 instruments we taught them how to do, and they could earn instruments, etc. once they came for 6 classes, which is an eternity for homeless kids. But it was a great way to build trust with kids, how to help them self-esteem. You have them master something for the first time. But since COVID,
and have some place to go, something to do, something to be focused on. Yeah.
Correct. And that was fantastic. And we had a tremendous success of that program. We won many awards in that program. However, with COVID, we had to stop the program. And so we couldn't have kids together during COVID initially. And so we had to think outside the box. These kids still need the help. What are we going to do to help these kids? And we came up with the idea that we actually work with UCSD in our community. And we came up with this color poster, which we had listed what we do to help kids get off the streets, all the research that we give them. And we started putting these posters up everywhere, around bathrooms where kids would go, fast food restaurants where they would go, the libraries where kids would go to, get on the internet for free, plug their phones in to recharge them, get out of the rain, etc. So we put them in place where kids would go, and they started reading this and started calling us by the droves.
Wow.
How can I get a free phone? How can I get a computer? How can you help me, etc. And so we started getting so busy by having these youth call us. The kids have spread out tremendously since COVID, so they're not together like they normally were before COVID. They used to be in clumps of kids, and then they would have 20, 30, 40 kids in a class. Well, now because of COVID, the kids have spread out. And so there's not a lot of kids in one area. And because of that, we haven't started our program again because there's not enough kids in one area. But this new program that we started is called Homeless Youth Advocacy Program. We're really advocates for these kids. We're like their parents. Because one of the things I think it's important, Jordan, that your listeners understand is that why these kids are homeless. We work with kids now between the age of 17 and 25, the transitional age youth. They are the most underserved of the entire homeless population. Why? People think they're adults. They're 17, 18, 19. They can take care of themselves. but emotionally they're 13 to 14 years old because their parents are so dysfunctional. They have not taught them the things that normal families, teach their kids. They don't know what to do. And
And
so
not for nothing, I have someone that age living in my house. Even if they do know what they're supposed to do at that age, they still don't quite function quite at the adult level yet.
exactly, exactly. And so, we decided that listen, we had to get these kids anyways, and we had to help them. And so we build trust very quickly with these kids. When they call us, we pick up the phone immediately. We pick up the phone 24/7. So when a kid calls us at 1 in the morning, now, we pick up the phone so they know that we care about them, that we're there to help them. And so even though we don't have services at that time, we say, listen, we can call you in the morning, but we want to help you. We're here for you. Can we talk to you at 8 in the morning? And when things open up so they can get their services. And so we meet with them, and every kid has a different need. We ask them, can we evaluate you? Can we assess you? And once we get the permission that we can assess them, we go through a multitude of questions. And every kid has different, needs. Some have addiction issues. Some have domestic violence issues. 40% of the kids that we work with nationally, 50% with us, but 40% nationally are LGBTQ plus kids. And they come out telling their parents they're gay, and they kick them on the streets today in 2024 because they're gay. It's horrendous. So these kids do not want to be homeless. They come from such dysfunctional families. Their parents are mentally ill. They're drug addicts. They're alcoholics. They beat them. They sexually abuse them, physically, verbally, emotionally. And so these kids have to leave their house. It's not safe to be in their house. And so once they're on the streets, they don't trust anybody. And it's very hard to build their trust. But by coming to them quickly, when they call us, we pick up the phone immediately. If we are on the phone with someone else, we'll get back to them within 20 minutes. That's very quick versus several days of getting back to them, which other organizations sometimes do.
Yeah, no, totally. I I have a friend who does a lot of homeless outreach, like adult homeless in Los Angeles. And one of the things I remember us having a really good and interesting conversation just about the work. And she talked about how a lot of the folks who were homeless, or like a large percentage of the people who they were reaching out to, were almost in kind of like a state where they didn't necessarily want many of the services, or didn't necessarily, they kind of were in their this was their normal, and they were there. Do you find that to be the case with the youth as well, or do you
That's a great question.
They're like, thank you, come, please help me?
That's a great question. The youth are different. The youth don't trust anybody, but if you can gain their trust quickly, they want to get help. They don't want to be on the streets. That's the difference. They want to get off the streets, but they don't know how to get off the streets, and they don't know who to trust to help them get off the streets. And so that's why by getting to them very quickly and handling their needs quickly, they realize, hey, maybe this organization is going to help me. They want to help me. I can start trusting them. And we get them laptops if they're going to school, if they need telehealth. Now, one of the things that's a big deal with a lot of these kids is that they have a lot of emotional issues because of the trauma they've been through in the house, or if they're LGBTQ and they get thrown on the streets, the trauma they have on the streets, So many of them need mental health help. And so we refer them to mental health experts, psychiatrists that can evaluate them if they need medication for depression, if they're depressed, which many of these kids are depressed. And so by getting on medication for a little while, they can raise their elevation so they can get out of the depression and they can be functional, but whatever. Sometimes they're schizophrenic, sometimes they're manic depressant, whatever they are, they'll be evaluated by a specialist and then also go to therapy. If they want to get therapy, we'll get them Medi-Cal so they'll have insurance and they can get telehealth or in person to person. Most of them it's telehealth, but they can actually talk to a specialist, work through their issues. And because if we don't help their mental health, they're not going to be functioning in life, successfully unless they can get their mental health taken care of. And so by helping their mental health, we find that, we have placed so many kids in housing. In the last 3 years alone, we've placed 849 youth in housing in the last 3 years alone.
Wow.
We placed 2,800 since 2001. So almost we're approaching 3,000 kids we've put into housing, and we want that housing to stay, not for them to just be housed and all of a sudden, get out of their housing and be on the streets again. And that's why we have intensive case management to really help their needs, what they really need, and to get them the training that they need through getting them to learn a trade, to getting them how to do resume writing, how to do job interview skills, all these things to get jobs so they can get off the streets and maintain that.
Yeah. So when the outreach workers go out, is like the first thought like, okay, let's get you into housing, or is it just is the first thing like, hey, listen, we are a resource for you. So as you're ready, keep coming to us. And when you're ready, we're going to help you try to take it to the next level.
That's exactly it. We do not force anything on anybody. You cannot force anything on these kids. You can be there with love. You can be there so you do not judge people. We're there to help them. When they want to get help, we love to help them. And as they build trust, then they realize, hey, it'd be better for me to get off the streets. You never force it on them. And so we continue to help kids until they want to get housed. And sometimes they don't want to get housed, but most of them do. Most of the kids we work with, 90% of them want to get off the streets.
Yeah, now that makes sense. So how does that work? Since these aren't adults, right? And so many of them are minors. So like, as far as doing that outreach, like what you have to report, say, to like the city or how does that work, since you're often dealing with minors?
Yes, if they're minor, if they're under 18, you have to report them to the police. You have to report them to certain situations in town, let them know that these kids are on the streets, and then we'll refer them in our community to Storefront. It's the only homeless shelter for kids 12 to 17. We were the largest private donor for 10 years. We gave them over $1 million in our fundraising to help programs for these kids at that age. But we kept seeing the older kids on the street that no one was helping, the 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old, 22-year-old, that no one was helping. And so over 12 years ago, we made the conscious decision, we're going to go for the 12 to 17-year-olds now who have the support, to helping the kids that no one has support, between the 17 and 25-year-olds, the transitional age kids, which are the toughest to work with. But it's the ones, though, Jordan, of anybody, any age within the homeless population, they're the ones that have the greatest chance of breaking the cycle of homelessness of any age group, because they haven't been on the streets that long. They're not that messed up into drugs, alcohol, or mental illness that they can get off the streets. And that's why we spend our time with them, because that's where you're going to get your biggest bang for your buck, helping someone that really will change their life.
Totally. The services that you offer these folks, are they in-house, or do you have a lot of different partners? Like, okay, you need you need to talk to a therapist.
Yes.
We work with this organization. Okay, we work with this organization.
Yes.
How does that work?
These are great questions.
Thank you.
We're actually the advocates for these kids. That we have 67 partnerships right now with people in our community. Some are with drug abuse, some are with domestic violence, some are with the LGBTQ community, some are with housing, all different aspects that will help these youth. And so we farm them out to these different organizations depending what their needs are. And because we give appropriate referrals, especially the people that are in the housing industry that have 60 beds, some have 20 beds, they know that when they get a call from Doors of Change, it's an appropriate referral. And that's a big deal, because we refer to them when we really think would be the best, area that we refer them to, they're going to stick, they're going to stay there, and they're going to get results. That's the worst thing if you give the wrong referral and they're there for 2 nights and they say, I don't want to be here, and I leave. So if you hook them up with the right referral, the right type of housing, whether it's permanent housing, temporary housing, emergency housing, and different, sects of what their needs are, they're going to have the best chance of staying, then growing, and eventually learning the skills they need to stay off the streets long term.
Yeah. So how long, like your case managers, how long in the process of, like, if you were a homeless, a transitional youth, and I was your case manager, and I'm starting to build trust with you, and I'm starting to give you the services, at what point do you say, okay, you've got your, you're set, go
Yeah.
and fly free? Or how long do you maintain that relationship?
We maintain the relationship as long as they want it to be maintained.
Okay.
I have kids that I've mentored 16 years, you know, sometimes 20 years. And so when they leave and they still call me. All right. They still get in
Yeah.
contact with us. So, and that's great. As long as they're doing that because they trust us, that's great. We want to help them. We want to keep them off the streets. And because they become role models for other youth to follow that, yes, hey, they give them hope. Hey, maybe I can do what Justine did. You know, she got off the streets. Justine was homeless from 12 to 16 years old. Why? Her mom was an alcoholic. Her mom's boyfriend used to beat her up, literally, drag her by her hair. And then at 12 years old, he started taking her clothes off. And she said, I got to get out of here. And she at 12 years old became homeless, shaved her head. She looked like a boy, put a big trench coat on. So she looked like a guy, and she joined a gang. And she was safer there than she was in her mom's house. And she was on the streets for 4 years. And when I met her, she was so depressed, Jordan. She was on suicide watch for 6 months. That's a long time for a 16-year-old to be on suicide watch. She tried to kill herself twice. When I met her, she was so depressed she wouldn't even look at me in the eyes. And so she finally came up to me and said, I want to learn how to play music. And that was the beginning. And then she said, Jeffrey, can I go into your art program? Because we had an expressive art program besides the music program. And that's where she thrived. And she learned how to make jewelry. And she started making more and more jewelry. And she said, the instructor, Nikita, said to her, you can make a living doing this. Really? And so she started selling her jewelry. And this is Justine, I'm showing you a picture. This is when I met her and she started actually getting excited about the jewelry. And do you know that she now, 16 years later, went to school because of her money that she raised, from her jewelry business. She put herself through City College in San Diego. Then she went to UCSB in Santa Barbara, graduated magna cum laude from the university. And then she went to law school, and she just graduated law school. And this is a picture, so you'll see it, Jordan, of Justine in her law.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Graduating law school.
That's fantastic.
So
that has to be.
And I'm still in contact with her, and it's been 16 or 18 years. So these kids always come back to us when they want to.
Yeah, that has to be a really great feeling, knowing that you really made a difference in someone's life. Like, not just oh, I bought them lunch, or but literally the course of their life changed in a positive way simply because you exist.
Well, it's very humbling. It's never an ego for me or for our organization. It's all the people that are involved with us. It's about getting the best we can for these kids, getting the resources that we can to get them off the streets so they can be productive citizens. They can be self-sufficient. And I'll tell you something, when you do it for that, and it's not about you at all, it's about helping these kids, you get so blessed with what comes back to you because you did it for the right reason. And it's humbling, but we have many, many success stories, and they become the role models for other youth to follow.
Yeah. How does it, because I would imagine this sounds like it's very emotionally taxing work. So the folks that, are on your staff and such, I imagine they see such, horrific, stories. They hear such horrific stories and just how what's that like? And do you provide services for your employees just to deal with the mental challenges of and the emotional challenges of seeing, this heartache every day?
Yes. That's a great question also. I'm telling you, for people that go in this field, they have tremendous hearts. And we have tremendous staff. I have never had a better staff in 22 years than we have now. And, Joanne Newgard is our program director. She sets the pace for everybody. She's got a huge heart, and she's in charge of the case managers. And Nicole McDonald is the lead case manager. She is absolutely amazing. She picks up calls in the middle of the night. She has her own kids, and she still loves these kids. Picks up calls in the middle of the night. She bends over backwards for these kids, And Turquoise now is with us. She's our second case manager. These kids love them because they're such loving people and they really give from the bottom of their hearts. And again, by them seeing the success that they have with these youth, that keeps them going. So,
Yeah.
Yes, it's tough, but when you see the successes, when you see them getting off the streets and them really having jobs that they can maintain their jobs and be self-sufficient, it's so rewarding for these case managers, for our program director, for myself, for all of our staff. That's why we always have our youth speak at our events. We have every year now, for many years, we have concerts, big concerts. And we're going to have this year Casey and the Sunshine Band, which has sold 100 million copies of their albums. They're a disco group in the 80s.
Of course.
That are huge, and they're headlining our concert this year on July 27th at UCSD. They have a new amphitheater on campus called the Epstein Family Amphitheater. We're going to have 1,500 people there. It's going to sell out for sure. And we always have one youth speak at our event, always. And that's the highlight of the whole event. So last year we had someone spoke that just blew people away. Actually, Justine spoke last year, blew people away. This year we have an amazing kid speaking. So, I mean, every year we have amazing success stories. They're Rocky stories. They come from, they overcome so many obstacles to be able to get where they are. And they're so fulfilling for the people that are at the event. The concert people say, wow, I had no idea that my concert ticket, which 100% of their concert ticket goes to get kids off the streets. 100% of anybody there, it's get kids off the streets. We have wonderful sponsors that actually underwrite everything. So 100% of everybody's ticket price will get kids off the streets and help them get the resource they need. And it's so uplifting when someone, says, wow, I went to a concert of hope at Doors of Change and it blew my mind. And we're starting selling tickets on April 8th is when we start selling tickets. And if anybody is in Southern California, even Las Vegas is a 6-hour drive, come and participate in this. And if you do, come up to me and say, Jeffrey, I heard about this radio interview that you did, and that's why I'm here. I'll be in the tux. So that's how you know who I am. But, really come and take a stand that it's not right to have 4.2 million youth that are homeless in America today. 4.2 million.
Yeah, that's a city. That would be the third largest city if it was its own municipality.
Yes. So doorsofchange.org. People can go to our website. They can see interviews of the kids. They can see their the youth speaking. It's very powerful. They can see the memorabilia we have. They can see who's involved with us. But the most important thing is that they want to do something to help these kids, because if you hear this interview and you're touched, if you don't do anything about it, it doesn't mean a damn thing. But if you take action and give a donation of any amount, you go to the concert, you buy memorabilia, you do something that will help so we can get more kids a life that they're going to be proud of with hard work. They have to do a lot of hard work, but with hard work, they can succeed and do well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have all these, I was kind of just laughing a little bit to myself as you were talking about like Casey and the Sunshine Band and just a lot of the spokespeople who are involved. I imagine like your average 17-year-old is like, who? With this, has it like introduced like certain entertainers to these younger folks, and they're like, oh my God, this is kind of cool music.
Absolutely. We have many of our kids come to the concerts every year, and they are guests of ours, and they are blown away with the support of the community that really cares, that they really are touched deeply when they see 1,000+ people there that are coming because of them. They're coming to help them. And then when they hear the music, it's like we had Ben Harper was there this past year, and the kids love Ben Harper. Okay. So, I mean, every year we have great talent that the kids like, but more importantly, the community likes, so they'll come to the concert and raise the money and awareness about this issue, because that's how we raise awareness, is by sharing with them the video that we have, they see a short video, they hear the kids speak. It's like, I had no idea that this problem, it's an epidemic today. And they don't know that with the homeless kids. You never hear about homeless kids. You hear about the homeless vets, the homeless adults, the homeless families. You ever hear about homeless kids? Very rarely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. How do you work with like the like your local, municipality, county,
Absolutely.
their service to kind of like, because I feel like, like it's really great. Like, okay, there's these homeless children and we need to get them the services and such they need. But, the idea of kind of like preventing the problem before it's a problem, right? Like,
Yes.
okay, how can we intervene before it even, goes to the level of you're on the streets on your own?
Yes. We speak in a lot of the like high schools. We do a lot of
Hmm.
public speaking in universities, high schools, whatever. We work with like the criminal justice system so that when a kid comes out of prison, if they don't get supplies quickly or research quickly, they're going to be right on the streets. So
Hmm.
they call us when they're getting released, and we meet the kids and we give them the resource that they need, just like just like they're a homeless kid, because they're going to be a homeless youth if they don't get the resources. And so
Right.
we help them that way also. So it's just getting the word out about our organization, educating the community about the homeless youth issue, and to me, it's letting the community know that your donations, they truly are saving lives. I mean,
Hmm.
it's hard to trust organizations. There's about 8 or 9 thousand nonprofits in San Diego alone. I'm sure there's 8 or 9 thousand in Vegas. Who
Hmm.
do you support? By looking at the track record, we've been doing this 22 and a half years now, 2,800 kids off the streets. Obviously, and when they come to our concerts, they see the kids firsthand speak. It's like, wow, it blows their minds because they see
Yeah.
that this is what the ripple effect of your help is doing.
Yeah. So this has turned into like your life's work now. Are you just there? Is there
Yeah.
ever a moment where you're not thinking about the kids? Like, is
Been
it like all
22, it's
consuming?
been 22 and a half years. This has been my life work for 22 and a half years. Because, truthfully, people can read people. If you're not authentic, they'll see right through you. The kids will see right through you if you're not authentic. And believe me, they know more than even the community because they're on survival mode. So,
Hmm.
but being authentic and really wanting to help youth for the purest sense of really helping them, not for me, but for them. That's why
Right.
our organization has been successful because people see who's involved with us is truly not any ego-based stuff. It's about helping youth have a better life, getting the skills that they need to be self-sufficient, getting the help that they need for mental health, housing, all the things that they need, addiction, domestic violence, etc. These are our future. And if we don't handle these youth properly, they're going to be the 30, 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old people on the streets if we don't help them get off the streets before their feet are cemented in the street.
Right. Yeah. So what's on your wish list? You guys have done so much. You have so much wonderful support. You've raised so much money. You've given away so much money. If you were to get like a some ridiculously large grant or a
Yeah.
ridiculously large some crazy old rich lady said,
Yes.
I'm leaving everything to you guys.
Yes.
Do you have anything on your wish list of like, oh, we'd love to expand into this, or we'd love to extend programming this way, now that we have these additional resources to
Yeah.
do so?
That's a great idea. A great question. Number one, the more money we have, the more security we're going to have for many years to come. We
Hmm.
want to be able to have this go on for 25 more years, okay? Minimum. When I'm off this earth, I want this to keep going, okay? Number one.
Hmm.
Number two, we want to continue to help increase not only the amount of kids we're helping, but the depth that we're helping them in. For instance, in the last 2 years, we started 2 new programs from the homeless youth advocacy program that we didn't have before. We started realizing, Jordan, that a lot of kids had car problems. They're sleeping in their cars. Okay, 10% of the students at San Diego State University, SDSU, are in their cars, are
Oh, wow.
couch surfing. 10% are homeless. And so, because these kids are in their cars, if they don't have the cars working properly, they can't go to work. Okay. And they use their cars, they use their batteries to hook their phones up to, so they have problems with the transmission, problems with their tires. So we set up this year, we put $12,000 into car repairs. Okay. And so by repairing their cars, they can continue to go to work. Okay. Continue to go to school. They continue to, do what they have to do to support their families or themselves. Okay. We also set up $25,000 this year in the last 2 years for paying for first and last month's rent.
Okay.
Okay, that's a big deal because they
It's a
don't have to
huge
pay
deal.
for the last
Moving's
month's rent.
expensive.
Yeah, yeah. So
Absolutely.
by helping them with that, so by getting more and more money, and right now we have an immediate need, which we need the community to help us with. We have to have a new case manager come on in the next 3 months by May, because we don't want to burn out our present case managers. They're seeing between 100 and 125 patients or youth per month. That's a lot of youth
A
for
lot
2
of
case
people.
managers. Okay.
Oh, wow.
We have to have a third case manager, and we're actually bringing one on in May, but we need $55,000 to bring on that third case manager. Okay. We don't want to burn these other people out because they're doing such great jobs. We want to keep them long term. So we have to raise another $55,000 to be able to have another case manager, because that's a great problem. We're seeing so many youth that we need more case management. That's a great problem.
Yeah, no, totally.
So
Yeah.
that's
I
why
just
I was going to say, that's why if people are touched, we have a program called the Angel Team. The California Angels own the name Angel Team. And so we actually got permission from them. Our attorney almost fell off his seat. They've never made this exception before. This is true. Because we have to do with angels with homeless youth, they gave us the permission to trademark the name Angel Team, which we've done. And so the Angel Team, for $18 a month, someone can get in and donate $18 a month. And just by doing $18 a month, you won't even know that it's out of your paycheck, but it automatically pay. We'll get $18 a month from, let's say, 1,000 people. Well, that will help us tremendously and start paying for this new case manager.
yeah.
So even though people don't have to, it's great to have a big donation, but it's also to have a lot of, smaller donations. People can make a difference in $18 a month.
That's when did you launch Angel Team?
3 years ago.
Okay. Then
And
we
need more people in that, because it's something that if say I can't afford $18, so do $11, whatever
yeah.
you can do $30, you can do $50, you do $100, whatever you can do, we appreciate immensely, because by having more people give, and whatever they can give, we'll be able to hire more staff to help more kids get off the streets.
Yeah. You said like 100 people, 120 people every single month. How do you even like what's the day in the life of a case manager? Like how do you even not only just have the time just to have that initial conversation with that many people, but then continue to keep up with them? I have a hard enough time keeping up with like the 5 close friends I have.
Yes.
So I can't even
Yes.
imagine.
I actually got today, we're seeing 128 kids this month. That's a lot of youth. And
Yeah.
so Turquoise last week spent 6 hours going to court with one of our kids that needed help, needed to have some with them for court. She spent 6 hours of her day with one youth. And a lot of the other youth kind of were like waiting, but she needed to take care of this with one youth to get the deep results that we get. So
Yeah.
that's why we need to have more case management so we can go in depth with these kids, what they need is for resume writing, for job interview skills, how to do trades, how to hook them up with a proper job, how to get mental health assistance, how to get, ID so you can get jobs, how to get, resume writing done, job skills done, all these different things.
Just all the basic life skills that you just need to do just to basically adult.
Yes,
Just
how to even dress properly for an interview,
Mhm.
and how to maintain a job and how to save for yourself. You want to put money away every month, whatever you can, even if it's $20. That's going to grow, so you'll have a savings. We need to teach these kids many things.
Yeah. What would be, going back to my question of like, if you've got this ridiculous amount of funding, like in a perfect world, what would be the ideal caseload for a case manager in a perfect world?
Perfect world is 20 to 30.
Mhm.
20 or 30 kids normally, but again, some of these are one-offs that we do, so they're not really in-depth stuff, but we need to have, we've decided that we have to have a third case manager come on by May, so we don't burn out our case managers. They do such a phenomenal job, but we are seeing this long-term. We want them to do this for 10 years from now, so we don't want to burn them out. So we have to have another case manager to take the load away from them so they'll have more time, to be able to spend with the clients that they have.
Absolutely. Are some of the I don't know if you call them alumni, but some of the folks who have come through your program, do some of them come back to like work with you or to do work as outreach or work, work with you and kind of, pay forward what was given to them or you done for them?
Yes, great question again. You get great questions today, I'll tell you. We have many youth that we work with that come back to mentor these other kids. I ask them to speak to them and they mentor them. They come on interviews with me in the paper, radio, TV, everything. So they are, and speak at our concerts. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the alumni comes back for whatever we need them to. I'm telling you, I've done this for 22 years. Unless they have work, or they whatever, they will come back when I ask them to come back and I need help. Almost unanimously, they say, yes, I want to come back because they want to give back because they were given so much for them. They want to play it forward again and help other kids have a life like they have now.
Yeah. Do you, so as far as just kind of like your outreach and where you focus on, do you solely focus on San Diego proper?
Yes.
Do you focus on the wider San Diego community? Do you do work in other cities and other places?
That's a great question too. Well, during COVID, we helped 11 different states. People called us from 11 different states. We helped kids in 11 different states. But since COVID is now getting less, a lot of those places now have reopened up in their areas, and so they're handling in their areas. However, we work with exclusively San Diego, all throughout San Diego, everywhere in San Diego. We are in many, many different areas, and kids come from all over, and there's like 4 million people in San Diego. It's a big area. We cover the whole area. And so that's enough for us to do. Now, when people call us and say, Jeffrey, we heard about the success of Doors of Change. Can you share this with us? We will share with any community that's doing work with homeless youth for free. This is what we do. This is how way we've been successful. They're going to have to do their own work in their community. We're not going to do it. We have enough here that keeps us busy.
Absolutely. So do you have just in terms of just your offices, is it sort of set up like a community center where kids can pop in, or is everything done remotely and via phone and email and et cetera?
Sure. Well, before COVID, we actually had a place for 8 years for this one location. The kids would come in twice a week for our music program. And they came in, a lot of kids came in. We saw 8,100 youth through that program. And
wow.
So it was a very intense program and kids loved it. But since COVID, we're all remote. And so we meet the kids one-on-one. The case managers will actually meet the kids one-on-one. We have Joanne just went after our meeting today. She delivered 5 bus passes to one of the youth that needs it for work. So we'll do drops all over the city for things that they need and take them places where they need to be taken and to get the resources they need to move to the next level.
Yeah. Do you find it's more efficient now being completely remote, or do you like in a perfect world, would you like to go back to having some type of an actual physical location?
I would.
So I imagine there's pluses and minuses, right? Like just the cost of a physical location and just all of that overhead.
Yes. Well, the good thing is that we had the location donated. So the cost.
That helps.
So eventually I would love to have the music in our program start up again. The problem is that the kids are so spread out right now. There's no area in all of San Diego that has enough kids in one area to justify having a program there. But there's not enough kids to support it. So until kids come back to a certain area and start, hanging out in one area, then it's really not going to happen. And we don't know when that's going to. It's been 3.5 years now that it's been like that. So who knows? It might be another year, 2 years before we'll have enough kids in one area that we can start it again. But we've been extremely successful on doing our homeless youth advocacy program the way it is remotely, because it's lean, mean, and we really get the services out to the kids that need it, and we continue to expand by hiring more staff.
Yeah. What do you, because it's going back to what you were saying, how like pre-COVID, like people were,
Yes,
the youth were kind of like congregating in
yes,
specific areas, and post-COVID, they've kind of, spread out.
yes.
What was it about COVID or like, what happened in COVID that made people say like, oh, I'm not just, hanging out downtown, for example,
Sure.
like, yeah.
Well, number one, the kids that are on the streets, they mostly are not vaccinated. I'd say 98% are not vaccinated. Number two, they have very bad immune systems. They've been on the street for a while, and their immune systems are not good. They're weak. So the combination of having a weak immune system plus not being vaccinated, they're in a real predicament. If they get COVID, they're really in trouble. And so, some kids have died through that possibly. You know what I mean? They're gotten very sick and go to the hospital. So they try and kind of stay away from each other because they don't want to pick up. You can still get COVID right now. COVID's still
Yeah.
going around.
Yeah. Well, I think that that's really awesome, like in terms of like having, especially because like when you think of young people, I mean, I know when I think of young people, like, and I think of just even myself, when I was a teenager, like I didn't necessarily make all of the best decisions. And so
Sure.
I think that that's a credit that like, that's a very conscious, responsible decision to make for oneself. So I think that that in itself is is a is a hopeful sign in terms of people wanting to improve themselves and improve their lives for the better.
Yes. We find that really once the kids trust us and they are given the resources and they actually, and I tell them, you have to work hard. We're not going to give you something. You're going to get it for free. You're going to have to work for it. This is something you have to work for, like everybody does in life. You work hard. Nothing is easy, but if you work hard, you can get anything that you want that you work hard at. That'll come true. You can't give up. The key is not giving up. You have to keep like Justine. She was tenacious. She just kept doing it, kept doing it. Now she graduated law school.
Yeah.
Matthew was on the streets. His dad used to beat him up to the point where he was and sexually abuse him. And he said, "I've got to leave my house or I'm going to kill my father." And he left. And he was always a good saver. And I kept saying it's important about saving. So he would get jobs, save, save, save. He saved $20,000 and he put himself through school. And now he's got a double degree in computer science and engineering. He's up in San Francisco area making a 6-digit income. He has a 1-year-old kid now. He's putting money still in the bank and he wants to buy a house. That shows that with hard work, these youth can really do well.
Totally. Is there, like, speaking about thinking about that hard work, is how often is there a case where like the outreach folks bring people in, but the kids aren't necessarily ready, and like you
Yep.
have to consistently go out and keep re-engaging them until whatever clicks. Like what percentage of the folks that you actually deal with do you think that that's the case?
Well, now it's different because of COVID and with them seeing the posters now and them calling us. It's a
Yeah.
whole different deal that they're calling us now for help versus us going out to them and saying, "Hey, we can help you." You know what I mean? It's a whole different dynamics. So I think that to answer your question, I would say probably 80% of the kids now that call us want help. That's a high percentage. And the other
Yeah.
10% will still kind of go away and then come back again, go away and come back. But the good thing is they keep coming back
Right. No,
because
that's,
you
I'm
know we
sorry,
we
continue.
we don't judge them. We have a
Mhm.
loving way about us that we just welcome them. We don't judge them, and we never put pressure on them.
Yeah. And I would imagine that the young people who are receiving your services to a certain extent become advocates to other homeless youth as well, because it's like, well, oh my goodness, let me tell you about this organization that I've been working with. Oh my goodness, they've gotten me into this program. So I imagine
Yeah.
it would ultimately be kind of a ripple effect.
Yes, we have many kids referred by other kids.
Hmm.
Especially like one of these kids, we just fixed his transmission and stuff like that. And he told us, "God, I can now go in my car. It works. I can bring my." He's got 5 people in his family. He had bald tires. His transmission didn't work properly. It cost $870 to do everything, but now he can go to work he has 2 jobs, and he's providing for his family. He wouldn't have been able to do that if we didn't fix his car. It was either fix his car, put the money in that, or put the money in his housing. And he said, listen, I want to put the money in the housing, stay there. If you can help my car, it'll help me with my work, help me with my family, etc. So that's what we did.
I think that that's so wonderful, and that goes back to the Angel team, like
Yep.
just because when you think about it, right, like in the grand scheme of things, $800 really isn't a lot of money, but in that particular instance, it truly was. It might as well have been $100,000.
Yeah, it saves his family from having an accident, having bald tires, having young kids in the car and having an accident. You know what I mean? We did whatever we could to protect his family, but he's a hard worker. He's got 1 or 2 jobs now and making it work for his family. But so that's why if people, again, are touched by this, doorsofchange.org, doors is plural, go to the website, check out the interviews that are on there, check out the stories on there, check out the memorabilia, and we're going to start selling tickets to our Concert of Hope starring 3-time Grammy winner Casey and the Sunshine Band on July 27th. We're starting selling tickets on the 8th of April is when we started selling tickets.
And when does the show actually take place?
July 27th.
Okay, all right. So we got a little time. It'll be a fun summer concert. Where is it taking place?
It's going to be at UCSD, our university in San Diego, and it's going to be at the Epstein Family Amphitheater. It's a new amphitheater on campus. It's fantastic.
That's exciting. And then are you guys on social media? Is there some place where we can go, Instagram, Facebook, where we can follow you and keep up with what, the good works that you're doing?
Yeah, go to Doors of Change on Facebook and like us, please. We need all the likes we can get. And we're also on Instagram. But, Facebook is a big deal for us. And our website, go to our website, doorsofchange.org. And again, make a donation of any amount. I know that it's not easy for everybody today with what's going on with the economy and stuff, but whatever you can give, we appreciate it. It's going to help more kids have the resources to get a better life so they can, get off the streets and stay off the streets.
Absolutely. My God, well, I've had thank you for joining us. Like I've really enjoyed learning about your organization and
thank you.
Absolutely. So I have one more question for you. And this, you may say like, okay, well, because I understand this is not about you. This is about them. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you still have dedicated a large portion of your life to making this happen. Yeah. So, if you look back on that and someone was saying like, Jeffrey Sitcov, this is his legacy. What would you like how would you like to be remembered as a result of kind of what you with your team has built?
I want to be remembered by the kids that we've helped. The Justines, the Matthews, the Tylers, the Josephs, the Elliots, all the kids that we've helped over the years. I want them to remember that these kids have a better life now because the community came together to help them. And we need to keep this going because there's always going to be kids that need help that are on the streets. And I want this to, to go for many, many years when I'm off this earth, so it'll continue to help kids. That's what I want to be remembered by is that we're together. We've helped many kids have a better life with hard work.
Wonderful. Well, again, it's been an absolute pleasure. We're definitely gonna, if you want to find out more about Doors of Change, if you didn't remember all of that, we're gonna add all that information to our show website. And thank you so much. I can't wait to just to see how things progress and read the reviews from the concert this July.
It's going to be great. And again, thank you so much, Jordan, for having me and to get the word out about the homeless youth issue. And please, people, that if you're listening to this, if you don't take action, even if you're touched by this, it doesn't mean a damn bit of good unless you take action so we can help more kids have a better life. Doorsofchange.org. Make any donation of any amount or come to the concert. And if you come to the concert, come up to me and say, I heard you on Jordan's interview and that's why I'm here. I would love that.
And you'll be the one in the tuxedo.
I'll be in the tuxedo.
Well, you have a fantastic day, and thank you all out there in Radio Land for joining us. We'll talk to you next week on another episode of Showtime with Jordan Van Haslo and friends right here on Hot 702.5 FM, Las Vegas. Hi there, it's Jordan Van Haslo. Yes, that's right, that Jordan Van Haslo. I don't know if you know this, but everyone's favorite radio show and podcast is now available on Spotify. That's right. Showtime with Jordan Van Haslo and friends, my weekly one-on-one chat with some of the most interesting people I know from the entertainment and the arts communities, can now be streamed on Spotify.